Hey guys, this is Dr. Callahan for week 12 Monday. Happy Monday. So pause the video and answer the following 3 questions for your warm-up. All right, you guys, let's go and take a look at putting this into perspective. Okay, so today is week 12, which is April 4th. And then next week is going to be week 13. Week 14, Monday, which is at 18, there's no school. It's a professional development day, so you will not be here in person. So it's kind of nice to give you guys like a little break in between there. And then after that, the 25th is week 15. And then May 1st or 2nd is going to be 16, 17, 18th, 19th, and then you have that week 20. Week 20, the 30th, is the kickoff of summer, so that's Memorial Day weekend, and then you have week 21. So your final, they haven't released the actual schedule yet, is most likely going to be at week 20 to the 21. Okay, so it's the highlighted area. I'm thinking your final is gonna be there somewhere. Keep in mind that your final is a common district final. So it's questions that I don't make for you guys. It's the district final. So there are 13 high schools in Washoe County. So if you have a friend that's at Worcester High School or Spanish Springs High School, and you guys are both in Algebra 2, you guys are taking the same final. Does that make sense? Your safety grade for this class is a 75%. And the reason for that is because the final is really difficult. And so the final is 15%. So what's 75 minus 15% in case you fail the final? You'll get a 60%, which is a D. Okay, so if you have a 75% or above and you end up failing the final, you can still pass this class with a D. Now, if you have like a 74%, 74 minus 15 is a 59%. You can't pass this class with a 59%. You got to get at least a 60% or better. If you do end up failing this class, what's going to end up happening next year is I'm going to take your math class, or just Algebra 3, Prop and Stats, whatever you're going to go into, and then you have to retake this class again. So you have 2 math classes next year. So just keep that in mind. For those of you guys who are constantly on your cell phones, I mean, it's great. I see your happy faces, but just keep in mind that you get 55% for being here. You have to literally earn the other 5% to get to a 60% or above. So just keep that in mind. And then also, you know, your packet that you've been turning in, if those are not filled out in your packet when it is due, it does negatively impact your grade. So really at this point, you guys, we only have like 8 weeks left, and that's basically it. So you need to get your 75% safety grade, take your final in June, and then we're going to be done. And next year, you guys will all be seniors. All right, so with that said, let's go ahead and get started on today's stuff. Last class, when I saw you guys, this is what you guys turned in. If you did not turn that in, and again, you know, in order to get the points in class, you don't always have to be good at math, but you at least have to try and participate. And that includes turning things in if you're completed with it. Okay, so if you haven't turned it in, make sure you guys are doing that. And again, I just give you guys like a check plus or a check minus, and that's it. If you don't give me anything to turn in, then you don't have anything for me to grade. So yeah, it goes in as a missing. But we talked our last day about transformations of cube roots. And then also we did a few graphing. And then we started with solving radical equations last class, which looks like this. And I had you guys turn that in. Another thing we talked about is extraneous solutions, which is if you get more than 2 answers, or 2 or more answers, I should say. It is possible that one of the answers is wrong, and they do that to trick you on the final. So you need to plug both answers into the equation and make sure that they equal each other, because one of them will not equal to each other. And that's the one that's not correct. So you cannot include that answer on your final or on your final answer, or else it's gonna be wrong. The best way to do that is with a TI-84, because it saves you a little bit more time. And so we went over this as well. And today, we're going to go and continue with it. I also gave you guys a QR code last class, so you can check your answers, because I do have that available for you guys. And so does anybody need a copy of this from last class? We were not here on Friday. If you do need it, I'm just going to put it right over here for you guys, so you can grab at your own time. And if you again did not turn it in, make sure you turn it in. All right, so this week is week 12. Your homework from last week was due on Sunday, so I'm just going to take a moment to kind of like go over that. So let's take a look at this. Okay, so you're just gonna go to Washoe County School District, Math Excel. Just type that into your browser. It's the first one that shows up, which is on Envision, and you're gonna click on sign in. Go to Algebra 2. Don't go to Envision, go to Math Excel for school. Some of you guys are like, I can't find the assignment. It's because you're going to semester 1 and we're done with semester 1. So make sure you click on semester 2. And so from there, you're going to go to your assignments and it should just pop up. And so these are all the assignments that you guys have so far. I'm going to go ahead and edit the week 11 from last week so that way you have access to them. So that way they're reopened. There will be a slight penalty because they are now considered to be late, but that slight penalty might just be like 10 to 40%, which as long as you do it, you still get a passing grade of 60% or better, you know, so it's still worthwhile to get that done. If you don't get it done, you know, like the school adapted the 5 to 10, so you get 50%, but 50% is not passing, you know what I mean? So you still need to get at least a 10% there. So then I'm going to go ahead and assign you guys week 12. And this week we're going to talk about solving radical functions. And so I'm going to go ahead and assign this. Let's go ahead and edit that. And I'm just going to put in week 12, algebra 1 or algebra 2, semester 2, solving radical fractions. And I'm going to put Dr. Callahan, so you know that's from me. Next. One, two, three. Okay, let's remove those. Okay, so there are 13. Let's see if there's any more that I can remove. Just need one more. Remove. Okay, so you guys have only 10 questions for your Math Excel this week. And then this is going to be due on this coming Sunday, which is the 10th by 11 p.m. You guys will have 3 different attempts on this and assign. So that way you guys have that. So you now have that available for you guys as well. Okay. All right, so with that said, let's go back to your notes. Okay. All right, so for your YouTube channel, I have last week's stuff already there uploaded. You guys have 53 videos. So last time I saw you guys, this is the Toy Story one's not it. My little boys and I always share the same YouTube account so that way I can see what they're watching and what they're looking at. And sometimes they just add videos onto like, you know, my channel. So if you see that, you're like, oh, it's not part of it. You know, Among Us is not part of the videos you need to watch. So week 11 Friday is right here. So if you're not here on that day, make sure you guys watch that so that way you know how to do the assignment in case you've been absent. All right, so then today we are on April 4th, which I circled the wrong one. So let me modify that and just move it up. There we go. All right, so hold on. Okay, this is not moving. So discard, let me try it one more time. Okay. There we go. Now I moved up there. So what we're doing is we're going to do solving radical equations. After today, we're going to move on to function operations, and that's going to take us to the end of the week. And then next week, we're going to talk about inverse relations, and that's going to be the last part of this unit. I'm going to collect your teal packet with a calendar on top, and then give you guys the next unit. Okay, and so that's kind of where we are. If you have your cell phone out, please put your cell phone away so that way you know what it is we're doing. This is week 12 Monday. Our objective is on solving radical expression. We're solving radical equations. It's your second day, day 2. Today, I'm gonna have you guys do a maze with highlighters. I'm gonna give you my notes on solving radical equations. I also have a mini little assessment that you have to complete, and you're gonna turn this in prior to the end of class. So we have a bit of things to go over. So these are the materials that you need. You need to have my handout, you need to have an iPad, and then you also need to have highlighters. So come on up, you guys. I have it right here. Highlighters are right there, and then your paper that you need is right over here. So come on up. Here you go. So this is what you need for today. If you still need the ones on Friday, I have it right here. So if you're not here on Friday, you're welcome to come up and grab them. All right, so with that said, let's go ahead and get started with today's stuff. So everybody turn over to this page right here. We're gonna go ahead and get started on the maze. All right, so with your maze, take a look to see where it says start. And for those of you guys who are at home who doesn't have a copy of this, you can just write it on a separate piece of paper and submit it that way. That's fine too. So we're gonna start off with this one right here. So with your highlighters, you can go ahead and highlight that because that's the one we're gonna start off with. Okay, so let's go ahead and work on this one together because I'm gonna have you guys do some on your own as well. All right, so this is what you have. Your goal is to solve for X, and you're like, with my X, is it this answer, or this answer? You have 3 different ways of going that with this quiz or with this maze. Ultimately, your goal is to get to the very end, obviously, but right now you're starting right here, okay? So let's solve for that. First thing I wanna do is I wanna get rid of that 7. So opposite of a +7 is a -7. And so once I do that, I cross that out and I have a square root of 6x minus 5 equals -4. How do you get rid of the square root? Opposite of a square root is a square. So you put that tiny little 2 on top. So then your square root and your square cancels. -4 times -4 is a 16. Well, you guys know what to do now. So what's 16 plus 5? And then what is 21 divided by 6? So then with your highlighter, where are you going to go? It's probably going to be this answer right here, which means my next question is going to be right there. So with your highlighter, make sure you highlight there. Okay, so now that you're on that one right there, so this is the one we're on. Now with that one, you have either 9, 12, or 28. So I'm gonna have you guys try to do this one on your own. Give it a try and see if you can do it. I think you guys can because you're a smart group of kiddos. If you're starting with this, I would suggest you get rid of 4 first. and then square both sides. And then lastly, divided by the -3. Oh, you know what? I totally fudged up. I'm so sorry. Sorry, guys. I'm gonna scoot back a little bit. I totally didn't even see this. All right, hold on. Go back. Sorry. Okay, we're gonna go back to our first equation. Okay, so the first equation, do you see how like right here, this is equal to -4? Do you guys see that? Just like absolute values, you cannot equal a negative number, because if it equal to a negative number, your answer is actually no solution. That was my fault. Sorry, I fudged up. Sorry. So if you already highlighted, no worries. We can just ignore that part right there. And because technically where this is gonna go is your highlight, just grab a different highlighter, you guys. It needs to go to no solutions, and they're technically right here. So that was totally my fault. I'm sorry. So no solution is your first answer. Sorry, that was my fault. So just remember, you cannot have a square root equal to a negative number, because if you think about it, it has to be distance, and your distance cannot be negative. It has to be positive. And that was totally my fault. I apologize. Bless you. Bless you. Okay, so then what we're going to look at right here is we are going to be on this one right here. So you are at this section. We're going to be working on that one. And if you look at that one right there, you know, you have several answers. You can either have 28 or 4. Those are the only two that you have that's available. So I'm going to go ahead and clip that question down and paste it right over here. And so let's solve this one together, okay? So then looking at this right here, you have a -9 right there, and you're like, okay, I don't want that -9 to be there. So what's opposite of a -9? Because it's timed, it will have to be divide. So you're going to divide by -9 on both sides. And when you do that, that cancels. You get square root of x minus 12 equals +4. It's a positive, so it's not no solution. So then I'm going to square it. So 16 equals x minus 12. And what is 16 plus 12? 28. So then you know that you're going to go to here on top. And your next question is this one right here, which I'm going to try to highlight using a different color just so I can see the difference there. So that is your next question. Okay, so we're on this question right here, and all right, we're like, all right, it can either be 6, 18, or 9, right? Those are the different possibilities. So I'm gonna have you guys go ahead and give that a try on your own. I would suggest that the first thing that you should do is probably try to get rid of that 4. And after you get rid of that 4, get rid of the square root. So you're gonna square both sides. So then you're gonna have like a 5 times 5, which is a 25. And then after that, it's just like solving equations. 25 minus 43 is a negative 18. And then what is negative 18 divided by negative 3? You should get 6. So then your highlighted portion should go from here to over to 6 right there. All right, so then what is your next question that you're gonna be working on? So from the 6, you should be going directly into this question right here. If you look at that question, there are 2 different possibilities. You could either have a 21 or a 10, but I don't really know which one it's gonna be. So let's go ahead and work on that together. So you have this one, 27 minus 2x equals x minus 3. This one's a little bit different because you have a square root on both, and it's actually pretty easy because if you just square root both of them, guess what? They just cancel, and you have 27 minus 2x equals x minus 3. And it's just like solving equations, right? So I want to move my x over to the right side. So let's add the 2x on both sides. And then I got to get rid of that negative 3. So opposite of a negative 3 is a positive 3. And then cross out the ones that you can cancel. And you have 3x is equal to 30. So what is 30 divided by 3? It's not 21. So it has to be 10. So then you're going to go on to that question right there. So for that one, I'm going to have you guys work on it on your own because I feel like you know enough of it to go ahead and do it on your own. It's exactly the same as the previous question, so it's not like it's anything different. You're just going to square both sides to get rid of the square root. And then it's just solving like a two-step equation. You might want to grab that piece of paper right there, my dear, and then the highlighters. So what do you guys get? I don't know about you guys, but I got 14. And those are the steps that I took to get to the answer. Hopefully yours is somewhat similar to that. So then from this question right here, I'm going to go up to 14 and then leading into that question right there. So go ahead and solve for the next question that's leading up to. Okay, so for this one, it's a little bit different because there's now a -2 in front of it. So you do have to treat it a little bit differently than the other ones. So you have a square root of 7x minus 5 equals -2 square root of x minus 2. So before I get rid of that square root, I gotta get rid of that -2. So that's kind of pesky, okay? So when I do that, what's gonna end up happening is that part cancels. And I just have square root of x minus 2. This is really not favorable because, you know, it's kind of a pain in the ass. But if you're going to square both sides, you're going to square this side and that side. But you're just going to keep that -2 in the denominator. Okay. And so then when you square it, on the right side, you have x minus 2. On the left side, it's 7x minus 5. -2 times -2 is just going to be a +4. So you have a fraction equals x minus 2. So this is a different variation. You're going to just be careful with how you deal with this. So what you're going to do is you're going to put a 1 underneath it like that. And then the strategy for you guys here is that you're going to crisscross it. So you're going to crisscross this part here, multiply that together, and crisscross this part here, multiply it together. I know it's a little weird, but that's how you get rid of it. So you're going to have 7x minus 5 times 1, which is just 7x minus 5. And then 4 times x minus 2. So you have to distribute that 4 into the parenthesis. So 4 times x is a 4x. 4 times -2 is a -8. So that one's a little bit different, okay? And now it's just solving equations. You guys know what to do with the rest of them. Minus the 4x on both sides. Add the 5 on both sides. Certain things cancel. And you're left with 3x is equal to -3. I feel like I made a mistake here somewhere, so hold on a second. Oh, I did. Actually, I didn't even have to go that far. And the reason for that is, you guys, okay, so I'm gonna back up a little bit. So back. I keep on forgetting this, but that's okay. This is stupid. All right, hold on a second. Do you see how your square root is like equal to a negative number right here? This negative right here, because it's equal to a negative number. And again, I keep forgetting this. It's no solution, okay? So then what you go is from here, you just go here, and this is your next part right there. I keep forgetting that. I'm like, okay, there's an answer. I'm like, no, there is no answer, Callahan. But it's good that I'm making all these mistakes because then you can see what you should not do when you're doing this. So go on to the next one. That was actually pretty easy because you don't have any numbers on the outside of it, and you're just going to go ahead and square it, and then, you know, that's it. So give that a try. So I would suggest first squaring both sides because you go to a positive 4, so that's totally fine. 4 times 4 gives you a 16. Minus 1. It's fairly simple. 16 minus 1 is going to give you a 15. And that's where you should go. I was thinking if it gave you a 33, then you'll be done with it, but it doesn't give you a 33. So from here, you go down to 15. So your next equation is square root of 2x plus 15 equals x. And I'm going to help you guys with this one. So with this one, you have the square root of 2x plus 15 equals x. This one is a little bit complicated because it's equal to an x rather than a number, but it's the same concept. So you're going to square both sides like that. And when you do that, remember your square and your square root cancel. So you just have 2x plus 15 equals x squared. Now, we haven't had a situation where we had an x squared yet. So you're going to subtract both of these numbers and move it over to the right side. So you have 0 on the left because you're moving everything to the right side. And then what you're going to have is x squared, but then you're going to have a minus 2x and a minus 15 because you're moving it over to the right side. And I hope you kind of understand like where I'm going with this. It's going to be like factoring, like back when we used to do this. So you're going to have 0 is equal to 2 different parentheses. You're going to have x on the inside, and you're going to ask yourself, okay, what times what gives you a negative 15, but when you add it together, it's going to give you a negative 2. So it's going to be one of those weird questions. So think about that. Okay, so I don't know about you, but I think that it's probably gonna have to be a 5 and a 3, right? Because 5 times 3 is 15. But now they'll work with the negatives, okay? So with the negatives, you know how this is a negative 2? So the bigger number, the 5, has to be negative. The 3 has to be a positive right there, okay? So now that I have x minus 5 equals 0 and x plus 3 equals 0, what's the opposite of that? X equals 5, x equals negative 3. But then remember how I told you guys you have to be very careful with like negative numbers because, or 2 numbers or 2 answers, because sometimes they're, you know, one of them is like a fake answer. So then what you need to do with this is you're going to take that answer check your extraneous solutions, and you're gonna take these two numbers and then essentially plug it in here to make sure it's equal to each other, okay? So if you have a calculator with you, this is what I'm gonna do. So I have my calculator right here. I'm gonna turn on my calculator. And for those of you guys on Zoom, you can see my calculator now. All right, so let's plug in. So square root, I'm gonna do square root. That's not square root, hold on, clear. So whoops, let's move it back over here again. So second square root, 2x is 2 times 5. 2 times 5, I'm just gonna check the first equation. 2 times 5 is gonna give me a 10 plus 15. That's gonna give me a 5. And x is 5. So is 5 equal to 5? Yes, it does. So I know that my answer for the first one is correct. Now let's check the second one. Second one is a -3. So do a square root. 2 times -3 is a -6. -6 plus 15. Does that give me a -3? No, it gives me a +3. So what does that tell you? That tells you that this is not a correct answer. So you don't include it. So now that you know that that is not the right answer, 5 is only 1. So then where do you go? We're going to go here. And this is your next equation. So take a moment and solve that next equation in the green. All right, so looking at this new equation right here, I have square root of 2 minus x equals x minus 2. You want to pay attention to this one because this is another one that's kind of new and different. So it's going to be different here. So first you want to do, you're going to square both sides. And when you do that, the square and the square root cancel. You have 2 minus x equal to. On the right side, you guys, you will have to FOIL this, like first, outer, inner, last. Remember that back in 3 weeks ago. So if you rewrite it as x minus 2 times x minus 2, if you do first is x times x, so that's x. Then if you do outer is x times -2, so that's a -2x. If you do inner is a -2 times x, so that's a -2x. And last is a -2 times -2, so that's a +4. Now, I don't know about you, but hopefully you can see that you can combine the outer and the inside together. So when you do that, you have an x squared minus 4x plus 4 equals 2 minus x. Now, just like the last equation, you're going to move the -2, the 2 over to the right, x over to the right, so you have a 0 on the left side. If you have a 0 on the left side, think of it this way. X squared is going to be by itself, -4x. When you move that x over, that's going to be a positive x. If you move that 2 over, it's a -2. So -4x plus x is a -3x. 4 minus 2 is a +2. And then, yes, you guessed it, we're going to have to factor it one more time. So you're going to ask yourself, what times what gives you a 2? But when I add it together, it gives me a -3. I don't know about you, but I'm thinking like 2 and 1. But it needs to have a -3, so it's going to be a -2 and a -1. And so then when I go ahead and solve for this, I'm going to have x is equal to a +2 and x equals to a +1. And once again, you got to be very wary about having 2 different answers because only one of them is going to be the correct answer. So then again, you're going to grab your calculator. And then take your calculator, you're gonna go ahead and highlight. Oops. You're gonna take your calculator and you're gonna take these two answers that I'm highlighting right here, and you're gonna plug them into your equation, which is right there, and make sure they equal each other, because one of them is not gonna be the right answer. It's just there to trick you. And actually, you don't have to do that, because quite frankly, if you look at your answer, you could use 5, you could use a 2, or you could do a 1. Well, actually, no, you do have to use that. Sorry. Yeah, you do. Because I see like, it's possible to go to 2 or 1. So in 2 different directions. So then grab your calculator. So let's grab my calculator right here. And then let's say if X is 2, I would do 2 minus 2, which is a 0. And then 0 minus 2. I'm sorry, 2 minus 2 is 0. And then, so that's just me square root of 2 minus 2, 2 minus 2. So the left side's a 0. On the right side, it's X minus 2. So that's 2 minus 2. It still equals 0. So X equals 2 is the right answer. So then guess what? You go up here and the end, you're done. All right, so we worked over this one together. So now I'm gonna have you guys do is go onto the back of this, which is gonna be your notes, which I don't think I have enough time for you guys to do this today. So I'm gonna have you guys hold on to this. You will work on this tomorrow with your sub. And so just don't lose that, okay? So then the next thing I want you guys to do is you're gonna do your quick little assessment. So go to that QR code. I have several questions over there, and you're just gonna submit it. So once you get to the QR code, insert your first and last name. And once you're done doing that, answer the questions, they're multiple choice, and then make sure you hit submit at the very end. You guys have exactly 10 minutes. For those of you guys on Zoom, that is the last assignment that you guys have, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care.